asset? Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
This is Discover Crypto. Every day on this channel, we teach you how to make money with Bitcoin. My name is DZ, and I'm joined by Josh today in a very, very special Wednesday episode. Today is June 25th. Josh, how are you doing today?
I am doing absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we're watching Bitcoin dominance absolutely rip. Bitcoin back above 107, briefly above 108K here today, and it might actually reclaim that in just a moment. But man, oh man, what a weird market today. Lots to break down. Huge analysts coming out saying some of these altcoins are about to rip. But when you're looking at these altcoins, DZ, Bitcoin dominance just won't fade. It is probably the strongest chart in all of crypto right now.
I'm gonna see a little cup and handle forming. No handle yet, but I'm seeing a little cup right there.
There's a perfect little rounded cup here. Maybe get a double bottom, Kim Kardashian style down here. But yeah, it is looking like Bitcoin might reach all-time highs, and ETH might repeat the pattern of hitting a lower high each and every single time.
All right, everybody, we are going to talk about XRP. We're going to talk about XRP leaving exchanges, some analysts' updated thoughts, and how XRP is mirroring a pattern from Bitcoin, in which Bitcoin ended up pumping and having a major pump. Josh already just showed you the Bitcoin price chart. Let's just zoom in a little on the 1 minute chart here. You can see we had Trump send out some statements. I guess the markets were just anticipating he was going to open his mouth and everything would fall. But the markets quickly found a little bit of relief. And Josh was letting me know James Wynn just went short. And so maybe the markets are going to pump just to liquidate him.
Short. Yes, looking at it right here. Let me see how much money he's down right now. Let's actually look at
this. Yeah, you can go to his position.
Go to his position, but I also just want to see what he's been yapping about here, because I'm pretty sure my original short entry was 1085. Let's see what 1085. Where did he get a 1085 short? I don't think I saw a 1085 short from him. Added again to my short here at 106. So he's been calling this a fake pump since like 102. And yeah, I don't know. This is very bullish in the sense that right now, if we do the opposite of James win, you will actually win, and he will James lose.
And just for a little context, this is a mega whale who is betting on crypto heading down. And so if crypto's price goes up, he's going to get liquidated and lose millions of dollars to the hype exchange. And so sometimes there's market makers who tend to make those things happen. They make it come to fruition. But now let's go ahead and look at the rest of the crypto market here. Bitcoin is up about 2.1%. ETH is down, however, but there are some other alts that are doing okay. I mean, Solana is kind of flat at 0.4%. Doge is pretty flat at 0.2%. Cardano with a little bit of some red candles today, down 2%. We keep scrolling here. Bitcoin Cash has been out pumping a lot of things lately. I don't know. I'm suspicious about that one. And we go to the big gainers today. We're going to see Pi Network and Say. People trying to short the Say pump, and it's just creating even more pumps. So just be careful trying to trade against this one. You can see insane movement for the last hour, a 3% change in price there. Caspa is up. Bitcoin Cash. TIA is up. So we're seeing some modular blockchains, some proof of work blockchains. And then we see what is losing: Virtuals, Tau, Sonic, and Injective. Injective, remember yesterday, one of the biggest gainers. So probably the market just saying, why the hell is that coin pumping? Let's go ahead and sell and take some profits there. Render's down, WorldCoin is down, and Avalanche is down as well. And SPX, we're going to talk about the SPX added to a corporate balance sheet overnight. So we got the details on that one as well. But XRP, let's talk about XRP for a second here, Josh. So the XRP supply suddenly dropping across multiple exchanges. This is in the past 24 hours. Now, we don't know for sure because we're still kind of waiting. You can see how recent this has been. Maybe, you know, this is whales removing XRP from exchanges. Typically, they're going to do that because they expect the price to go up. Or could be some internal transactions as people may be moving things around, but we're seeing it on multiple exchanges, making me think maybe some whales are playing some whale games here. So let's get into the article. So XRP price breakout is coming, and it's going to happen between July and September, according to an analyst. And then I got some data to support the July to September pump here. So it's stuck right now within a narrowing range over the last 3 months. And the analyst saying the price consolidation could end as soon as July. but the price must establish 240 as the new support to resume the uptrend. Pulled up the chart right here. I also want to bring up, there is the head and shoulders pattern that is forming. If I just, we can go ahead. This is 240. If you're wondering what that yellow line is, let me go ahead and hide that. Now, this head and shoulders, we're still waiting for the right shoulder to play out. It's a little bit easier to see on the 4-hour chart here. And you can see XRP has a potential target with the head and shoulders of 264. So you're hearing it here first. Now, looking at 240, we got to establish, you can see, try to knock above, especially on the 3-day. You can see just kind of getting rejected. Couldn't close a 3-day candle above. We got pushed to the downside. So this is what the bulls and the bears are going to be battling at now. So stuck within this 2 to 240 range over the last 3 months, with the traders attempting to predict its next move. It is sideways since turning down from $3.40. That was all the way back in January 16, making unsuccessful attempts to break out of that range. So now, Josh, let's first talk about this. Do you feel that XRP hits 340 again this year?
This year?
I mean, it was in January, so it was 5 months ago.
I mean, this is all speculation, and I'm not a financial advisor, and I have no idea what's going to happen, DZ. But yeah, I think as long as Bitcoin dominance remains this strong, I think it's going to be very hard for it to hit 340. I would like to see, well, I mean, what's the current price? 220 at this point? So maybe back to all-time highs. Well, the 340, it's just all-time highs.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually very doable. That's very doable. Because I mean, I would like to see Ethereum hit 4K this year. That would be kind of ideal here. But it really just depends on this Bitcoin dominance, which is continuously is sucking the actual life out of the altcoin market right now, hitting 65.69 right now. We need to see this chop down here. So I would like to see that happen over the next couple of months. That might be able to happen if, I don't know if we're going to see Jerome Powell get fired. But Trump's been going off on him, and apparently he just begun interviewing the next candidate for the Fed pick here. But yeah, Jerome Powell's going to cost us about another $900 billion annually on debt now because of who.
So what crashes the markets harder, him staying there or Trump, firing him, which is pretty unprecedented in recent memory?
Well, I don't think him firing him would crash markets. Markets would get excited because that would lead to, they all know what's coming. They start pricing in massive interest rate
I'm going to
cuts.
take the other end of that bet.
You think if they fired Jerome Powell, it'd crash markets?
I think it's going to, yeah. I think, and maybe it's the bankers protecting themselves, maybe not so much, Wall Street thinks it's going to be higher in 180 days. It just could be short-term turmoil.
So my reason why it would pump would be because of countries assuming the interest rate cut. So you would start seeing China, Germany, other massive countries start looking at the dollar and saying that's not a good investment, because that is where the most of our money is going to come from, is from other countries. That's where most of our debt is accrued.
I would also point to when there's rumors he was going to fire Powell, the markets crashed.
Was there? Yes. Was that around that, or was it like
2-3 months ago?
Was it something in the Middle East going papa, like Little Wild West?
I mean, who knows for sure? Who knows? For
oh,
sure?
Chat, what do you think will happen? Will it pump or dump?
Now, like I said, it would be short-term turmoil. Maybe it's manipulation, maybe it's not, but a little bit of turmoil just to say this is unstable and we shouldn't do things like this. Maybe the powers that be want to shock the market.
I think it would crash the value of the dollar. I think you'd see a lot of people offloading it, and I think that would mean a safe haven would be gold or Bitcoin. Hopefully, I would hope that would be the idea. Someone says he can't fire Powell. Well, never say never. Never say never. But because other commissioners, they can actually vote him off. Like, it's not that hard of a thing to actually take place. But will it happen? Probably not. But either way, we're just asking pump or dump if he did. It's just a hypothetical, guys.
All right, dump at first, then pump. That's kind of where I'm at. I think, eventually it will pump. It could be 5 days, could be 5 hours later, but I think we're going to have a lot of deep red candles, a lot of liquidations. Let's get back to XRP here. So another analyst has a pretty interesting data saying a breakout is coming, he said on this post right here. And in this case, he's looking at where it breaks out of the symmetrical triangle. So we're kind of in a symmetrical triangle right here. We've talked about this. We were in one in the past. And in the past, there is basically a little bit of a pattern. We normally break out of this range from 75 to 95% of the length of the triangle. And so looking at the data here, if it's 75% of this symmetrical triangle, we're going to break out July 2025. If it's 95% through the end of the triangle, we're going to break out mid-September. So something interesting there, just kind of put on your radar. And also we have the SMAs are looking pretty important. The 100-day is 222. The 200-day is 240. Close above this is going to give us the path to return to $3. Now, one more thing on XRP, I said, is matching a Bitcoin chart right before the pump. And so the market is mirroring the Bitcoin chart before its late 2024 surge. We went from 70 to 100K. So what chart am I talking about? Being resilient against bearish MACD symbols. Moving average convergence. What's the D stand for here? Moving average. Dominance. Indicating a potential for a bullish trend here. And so this is the charts. We're going to scroll down. This is the Bitcoin chart. Bitcoin held strength.
It's divergence, by the way.
Divergence. All right. So yeah, convergence and divergence. Now the XRP mostly staying above this area of support while the MACD continues to flash red. So as we stayed at the same level, we got a little bit of MACD converge, meaning it went to the upside here. Now, if you go to Bitcoin, you see the same thing. We're trading sideways in a pattern while the MACD slowly moving to the upside. And so the above discussed divergence is similar to what we saw with Bitcoin last year when the MACD kept flashing red throughout the summer. But at the same time, Bitcoin was range bound. Now, CoinDesk noted this last year when Bitcoin changed hands in the 50s. Weeks later, it rose to 70 and then eventually hit 100K. Let's see if XRP follows the same path. So the XRP whales looks like, here's what we are seeing. We are seeing the escrow wallet potentially unlocking $1 billion. Within 48 hours, we started to see a flurry of bullish XRP news, bullish XRP articles, bullish XRP charts. Is this market manipulation for the escrow wallet, or are we really going to see an XRP pump over the next 4 weeks?
You just asked me if XRP manipulates their price action?
Yes.
There's whoa, chat. Do you guys think Ripple manipulates? There's no way Ripple manipulates their price action. There's just no way, right? There's no way. There's no way. That's all I got.
All right. Well, let me throw this data point your way, and that's talking about June, because it's going to June. No. After June, it will moon, and it will happen soon. That's a rhyming boon. All right. So people are begging for alt season. Well, take note of this right here. Every June is the bottom for altcoins. This is total 3. Every June is the low, and they threw a little bit of a horizontal or a vertical line here. June, that's where we're at. Potential bottom. You look right here, essentially the bottom. You look right here, it was the bottom. You look right here, ended the downtrend right before we consolidate. So it was a local bottom. This right here went a little bit lower. This is 2021. You remember June, July, spiked a little bit lower in July, but essentially June was the bottom. And then if you look at June 2020, that was right before the run up. And then we also have this rec fencer. Every June is the bottom for alts. Literally happened 5 of the last years, 19, 20, 22, 23, and 24. And remember, 2021 essentially was the bottom. It just went right here. It went a little bit lower in July. But so I would say 6 of the last 6 years, it's almost as if it's programmed. Not sure why people are fading this. Does this make you bullish that June was the bottom?
I mean, I'm definitely bullish here. I'm definitely bullish. And at least that's realistic, right? I don't think that was given any crazy price predictions or anything.
Yeah, it's not saying it's going up 100x.
You're probably going to watch most altcoins go up by 30 to 50%. I think Bitcoin's gonna, again, we've been huge on this. I still think don't fade the futures gaps. Those may not necessarily fill just yet, but what I would watch for is the next pump to 120. I do feel like Bitcoin, just because of current macro events, you have peace taking place necessarily in the Middle East. And yeah, there's the ceasefire didn't completely get finished or whatnot, but it does seem like the fear is leaving the market again. And I think we can all agree on that. Just 3 days ago, everybody was freaking out again, fearing for the markets, making 75K price predictions. You were covering the analysts cover that. We know that fear completely shifted on the pendulum. So, I still think we're going to see a push upwards of 120K. I'd be very cautious around those range. I think we're going to enter a new trading range. And you can see that on the daily time. Look at the MACD here on the daily. Bitcoin came down the 20-day moving average here. Decided to start pinching, and we'll show the screen just a minute, but decided to start pinching.
Me and Aaron fighting.
There we go. Aaron's production's fighting in the background there. But the 20-day moving average. So anytime the price is above the 20, the 50, the 100, the 200, it means we do have very positive bullish momentum here.
Yeah, we're in an uptrend.
We're in an uptrend completely. And you saw this pinch started to take place on the daily, but the bears just couldn't win. The bulls took back here, bounced back above the 20-day moving average. MACD's got a nice bullish divergence taking place on
RSI's,
it.
Hidden divergence at least.
Hidden divergence. RSI's got plenty of room to break out of this SM right here, which is its moving average. So you got, again, there's a lot of momentum here that could project us to that next range. And when you go to like FOMO or these liquidation charts here, which I'll try to pull these up too, like you could see in real time us setting like really good, like really strong supports, and that 100K level has become massive support. So I do expect us to see more volatility. It's very easy for us to see a wick back down to 104. Like I wouldn't be shocked. But now you're starting to realize, okay, on the 7-day time frame, on the on the monthly time frame, all your liquidity is up towards $111,000. So if that's the case, there's massive liquidity up here, massive orders. I would imagine market makers are going to fill those positions before wiping us out and seeing that windshield wiper kind of take place again. So I would say if you're preparing for anything, it'd be prepare for Bitcoin to go back up to 115 to 120K, set a new all-time high. But you also need to be cognitively aware that Bitcoin dominance has just been absolutely eating away the altcoin market. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin went to, 150, 120K, and ETH is still at 28 to 3,200, right? It's finally starting to push out. It's starting to break out, but it's at prices it was when Bitcoin first broke past 100K. And that's what I think people need to watch for, is just the Bitcoin dominance in this market currently.
All right. Well, speaking of, the current market, I'm in a current trade and I forgot to share it at the beginning of the show. I'm in a short. That's right, everybody. We are deep in profit. And so I have closed 80%. We just did the patented $50 on a 50X just to have a little bit of fun when we're trying to guess the direction of the market. And we guessed correctly. We betted on things heading down. I don't know if it was this wick or this wick right here. I closed. Now we went live at 10:35. That's this candle right here, 10:35. I closed it a few minutes before, so I caught pretty much a bottom. We have closed 80%, like I said, but we're going to go ahead and just leave with the 195% profit there. Now, again, we're just having a little bit of fun. Very, very small amounts. You should never bet with size with something as degen as a 50X on something like Fartcoin. In fact, I highly recommend ever doing any of these trades. But I highly recommend you check out RFK's recent thesis. Now, whatever reason, I think the deep state's not let me play this video, but JFK reaffirmed owning Bitcoin under questioning from the AOC, whom of course she does not. She asked him, do you have any stocks? Do you have any investments? He's like, no, I divested. I went to the ethics committee. I divested everything. So she's like, so you don't hold any stocks and you don't hold any cryptocurrency? And he's like, whoa, I hold a little Bitcoin. And so she says, so you don't hold any other securities? So she's already lying about Bitcoin being a security. It's clearly a commodity.
My favorite part about that is it says JFK, not RFK.
Oh, wow, it does. JFK Jr.
Yeah, it's like
that's his cousin.
RFK Jr., which is it's a junior.
And of course, JFK Jr. tragically passed away in, I believe it was 2020, in an airplane off of Martha's Vineyard, right as he was running against Hillary Clinton for the New York Senate.
Yeah, no.
Suggesting what? What are you even talking about?
Yeah, there's no deep state connection.
A body count? What are you even talking about, Josh? I don't even know what you're talking
plans
about.
For the competition to the Clintons just magically go down all the time. That's
all right. Now let's be honest. Does your gut say that was a coincidence, or does your gut say nefarious deeds?
Oh no, that was 100% the government.
I lean towards nefarious deeds, and I hate saying that. I hate saying that. But let's talk about Bitcoin, everybody.
How
a lot of people don't even know what we're talking about here.
The president gets assassinated, and then someone that has similar beliefs starts running and just are you? Yeah, no,
yeah.
Just no.
Shout out to Bobby in California. That was a tragedy there.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Bitcoin again. Now we're going to talk about the MVRV, the market value realized value Z score. In my opinion, the most important on-chain metric. It tells us the true story where we're at in the Bitcoin cycle and is showing the difference between the market cap and what people actually paid for their coins, the realized cap. The Z score normalizes the data. Now, simple version, when it's high in the red zone, people are sitting on massive profits, then they usually sell. When it's in the low green zone, people are deep in the negative, they have no profits, and then that's when smart money buys. Now, if you look at the pattern, every major top coincided with the MVRV Z score above 7 to the 9. This is the red area. 2017, 9 plus before it hit the crash, 7 plus before the crash in 2025. Right now, we're only at freaking 2. We're not even close to the danger zone yet. People aren't massively overextended on profits like they were at previous tops. This tells me we've got room to run. And so interesting data point there. I'm also leaning towards this way. If you look at the cycle tops It is a huge flush to the downside. It's not like a little bit of movement to the downside. Huge flush to the downside. Huge flush. And so I don't think we've came anywhere near the danger zone here, Josh. To me, this spells a lot more bull run left to go.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot more to go. I think everybody agrees with that, though. I think it just, again, it's prolonged. It's a different market cycle with all the institutions coming into this market. That realized value won't be seen until I think you start seeing really massive spikes. But again, I think you could see 150, 160K Bitcoin, and all of a sudden you only see Ethereum at 5 to 6K, right? And it's just like, and that's because of the dominance cycle from the institutional value and the new manipulation. Like when you have the millenniums coming in, which are, you guys in crypto might be familiar with things like winter mutes and market makers that exist solely within the crypto sector. But I was heavily reminded again in a conversation just a few days ago that that's a drop in the bucket. Like what Wintermute and these market makers do in crypto is a drop in the bucket when it comes to the AI and the success and the magnitude of the hedge funds like Millennium, the real market makers, which again are they've been around for decades, performing month over month, year over year, nonstop profitability, 80+% annually. Like we have a whole new game that's coming into this market, and it screams retail lose, institution win. And so as long as you're focusing on the institutional narrative, like be very, very research oriented this cycle and make sure you're trying to focus on the sectors that institutions are going to want to pump. And we've been on this channel, luckily, since day one talking about tokenization of treasuries. We were the first channel to use the RWA.XYZ. I showed you guys through, the beginning of I think we had 100 million in stable coins. It's now hundreds of billions. That is the narrative. Now, are tokens going to pop off all that? I don't necessarily know, but you have X launching an investment platform. You have Robinhood tokenizing. You have coin absolutely pumping on our stock markets right now. So make sure you're just well positioned this cycle for institution manipulation, or else you're going to be caught holding the bag all around cycle again.
Yeah. Now, as people are talking about bags, but they're talking about body bags. They got real heated about the JFK thing. RFK. Sorry, that was throwing me off there.
Heated?
Yeah. Some are saying we don't have conspiracies against the Republicans. Well,
we do. That's
Bush, Cheney,
Bush with Afghanistan with
WMDs in Iraq.
That's not my fault. Democrats have Benghazi and COVID, and
you go
all
back
the recent
before
ones.
that.
Hunter Biden. Those are all recent.
Reagan. I mean, you got Reagan with the
we
paid for
Nixon,
regime change by
Nixon
selling.
Was Watergate. You have
well, Watergate was actually that's a whole nother worm.
That's kind of a mixture.
That's a whole nother rabbit trail.
Vietnam.
There.
You have it's all the
Gulf
old school ones.
Now, we've said too many crazy things on this stream so far. So if you want to really help us out, smash that like, Disco Fan. We really do appreciate it. Discover Crypto. We love the Disco Fan. We love that you got the bell bottoms. I'm sorry you can't see the spinning disco ball behind TJ today. He's still setting up some internet issues and getting his whole little home studio. He's trying to plug into the matrix, basically, folks. But let's talk about, now you said the big players is really what's moving. The hedge funds, Wall Street, BlackRock. Well, let's talk about BlackRock. Bitcoin ETFs logged the biggest June inflows yesterday. They pulled in $588 million. They've extended the green streak. That sounds like me after ice cream. It's a now 11-day streak here of just basically nonstop Wall Street appetite for Bitcoin ETFs. So this is the largest single day inflow with the 588. Number one, big surprise here, BlackRock, the iShares iBit ETF pulled in $436 million of the $588 million. Now, after Trump announced a complete and total ceasefire, markets did breathe a sigh of relief yesterday. Bitcoin surged to the daily high of knocking on the door of 107, climbing up from a recent 6-week low of 98K. So that's what we're seeing in the markets. And then at the same time, let me share this. Barclays Bank buys $131 million of BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF, but they ban customers from using their credit cards on cryptocurrency. You'll no longer be able to use your Barclay card for any type of cryptocurrency transaction. So they prevent you from buying Bitcoin. Meanwhile, they're stacking Bitcoin. So that's what the banks are doing, if you're wondering what the heck's going on. And now looking at the corporate treasury plans, we got a new participant Monday and Tuesday, a flurry of companies added Bitcoin to their balance sheets. Well, we got another one. They just started with 4, but they're going in hard with $1.2 billion. What I like about this, it's not a gold mining firm, silver, but it's deep sea mining. And so they're going to be doing this as part of their financial strategy. And yet again, the shares fell. This time they fell 20% after the announcement there. There was one more thing I want to share. Over 245 companies now hold Bitcoin. It is up 13% just in the past month. Together, they hold $88 billion in Bitcoin. So major news there. Do you think that's just going to be part of the dominoes? We're going to see all the commodity companies, people that mine gold, people that are mining at the bottom of the ocean. It makes sense that they would be the first to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet. What's another sector you're maybe thinking? I'm thinking tech could potentially be one, maybe just the fintech, of course. And then not only that, app companies, as people maybe start transacting with crypto on their smartphones a little bit more. Any sector you're looking at?
Like starts accumulating Bitcoin?
Yeah, what makes sense? Because it makes sense for a gold mine to hold some Bitcoin because they're all about, the dollar's being debased. Is there any other industries on your radar?
I think it's just going to be tech. I think it's going to be the AI sector.
AI.
It'll be.
Now, what's your thesis for
data
AI?
servers.
Is it like AI will pay each other with crypto? The agents?
Not even necessarily that. I think it's just going to be a part of a risk-adjusted platform. So like any AI company will recommend holding 1 to 2%. But like it's also most of these AI industries, they're using data centers that mine Bitcoin.
The drug dealing
share
industry,
the energy and everything.
We have Dylan pointing out pharmaceuticals. I think that's what he meant.
The GPU, sorry, but
that's what he meant by drug dealers.
Pharmaceuticals, I don't know. Pharmaceuticals have endless money from the government. I don't know if that's too. I mean, RFK is kind of hammering down on that, but yeah, I don't know. I think you're going to see every industry. It will be literally a risk adjust. If you don't have Bitcoin on your balance sheet, I think you're going to be at a point in 5 to 10 years where you have financial advisors saying you're not risk adverse. And so I think there's going to be a matter of time. I would like to see, maybe a Microsoft or, your larger tech companies allocating it to their sheets. But yeah, I think you're going to see it slowly rotate first.
Dre Mula's got a interesting thesis. Nuclear companies, he threw out uranium there. That makes a lot of sense.
Renewables, renewable, like anything nuclear.
Any energy.
Any energy company would make sense. Especially.
I was going to say that takes us to the next story here, which is the rumors that Iran was mining Bitcoin.
Oh, that's valid. Yeah.
Do you remember what I broke down probably 2-3 weeks ago, where I broke down their gold reserves? And I this is just speaking from an area of speculation. We don't have any inside info. I'm not inside the Bitcoin mines. I'm not in Fordo inside the tunnels right now. But there were indications that, Iran, we kind of have a good estimate of what their gold reserves were. Now, if memory serves me correctly, it was roughly $70 billion. Now, of that $70 billion, there are rumors. Again, we're in innuendo. We don't know. This is just analysis. We're just trying to think long term here. 1/3 of that was the value of their Bitcoin holdings. And so that would suggest, almost 25 million, $23.3 billion worth of Bitcoin. So there's a chance that Iran had $20 billion plus of Bitcoin. Again, we don't know for sure, obviously. But Josh, if you are a country like Iran, there are only 2 ways to acquire Bitcoin. 3 if you count confiscations, but you either buy it or you mine it. What would make sense, just in a game theory? Again, we're just speculating. We're just doing analysis. What would make sense for Iran's strategy for acquiring Bitcoin?
Mine it.
Why is that?
Liquidity.
Talk about oil?
No, so
I was saying cheap energy.
It's my favorite conversation. I watch dumbasses try to debate this all day. Like Biden didn't lift sanctions on Iran. He didn't. He temporarily lifted many frozen accounts. Like billions upon billions. I think it was $7 to $9 billion, and it's very simple for the IRGC to reallocate their funding because they don't need to buy food, they don't need to buy water, they don't need to buy clothing. They can reallocate a lot of those funds. And if you need access to liquidity, whether that's through buying, I think it would have been through buying mining equipment and setting up within the mountains of Iran with the IRGC, which is a confirmed issue. This happened also with Bit River. Russia did this through Ukraine when they got sanctioned. And it allows them to make transactions, buy, sell, trade, globally, much, much easier. So it makes complete sense for them to have Bitcoin mining operations that, which, by the way, they have extremely cheap energy. They are one of the largest oil producers. There you go.
Yeah, they could probably produce it about as cheap as anybody.
Exactly. So it makes 100%. It makes sense to have that liquidity access.
All right. So it seems, if I was just a geopolitical analyst and, I was one of the people with the strings controlling the world, it would make sense that Iran was mining tons and tons of Bitcoin. They've been doing it for years. And it would make sense it would probably be at some of the sites that, recently seen some activity from Israel and America. Of course, I'm talking about Fordo, Esfahan, and Natanz. We're talking about their nuclear facilities. Well, look at this story right here. Is this a coincidence? Bitcoin hash rate is now down 15% since June 15th. In fact, this is the steepest drop we've seen in 3 years. Now, the hash rate is seen as most dramatic fall between the 15th of June and Tuesday, according to blockchain data. The sharp drop has fueled speculation about possible geopolitical and environmental causes. But I'm going to do both sides. You know, we kind of gamed out why it could be Iran. Iran is known to run large scale Bitcoin mining operations in the country. But let's also talk about the other side of this argument. Maybe we're wanting to see a conspiracy when there isn't one. You know, I want to just be fully transparent. I lean that way anyway. So let me steel man the opposite side, meaning like let me argue for the opposite side here. The connection could be weak. Only a little over 3% of the total hash rate decrease coincided precisely with the recent events in Iran. Furthermore, the hash rate fell by over 6% from the 15th until Tuesday, before Iran was bombed by the US or imposed an internet blackout. The data shows that the hash rate was already on a steep decline before the events, and the ongoing fall is simply a continuation of a trend that may be exacerbated by the events in Iran. The Iran theory cannot be dismissed, though. Some market observers suggest a combination of geopolitical, environmental, and economic pressures at play. We also have a little bit of a heat wave in America. I don't know how much, Bitcoin, is the ongoing heat wave in the US could also result in some lower mining efficiency there, meaning people might turn some machines off there. But we also saw reports that they were doing activity before we bombed that area. So maybe they were moving equipment or turning off. So a lot of interesting stuff there. I lean towards, there's probably it's probably Iran angle at play. Maybe it's not the entire 6%. But I could see.
Imagine Fort Owens is a Bitcoin mining center. Imagine Fort Owens is a Bitcoin mining center.
It would make sense.
It's just like boom, just yeah. I mean, definitely a lot were destroyed. So it makes sense. I mean, what else would have dropped the hash rate? It's kind of like when China, banned Bitcoin miners and cut hash rate by 50%. Maybe there was a few big miners that shut down, reallocating, but I don't think that would have been enough to crash it all the way. And again, having the liquidity makes complete sense.
Yeah, I mean, the media coverage is it's the heat wave due to excessive Bitcoin mining. That's fine. I see the tail end.
Could also be that through. I think that's a little bit of it as well. But yeah, like I mean, it's a known fact. The IRGC was mining Bitcoin, and those locations were hit. Like those. So there was. I don't know if that was the full 15%, but it definitely is like there's an adjusted rate that definitely was impacted because of what was taking place there. And if you guys don't know this, like the Middle East is heavily a massive mining center, like Kazakhstan. All the stans have incredibly low cheap energy. So when China kicked out all the miners out of China, which now they're all coming back because China's moving their laws, but Uzbekistan, etc., Kazakhstan, Pakistan, like all of those countries, like saw massive hash rate increases. You could see that on a global chart. I'll pull up in just a second. But it's because of the super cheap energy. But it got to even a point where, like in Kazakhstan, they have rolling blackouts, and so they're trying to use.
But they do have good potassium.
What's that?
They have good potassium. All other potassiums are inferior.
Inferior? Oh, really?
To Kazakhstan.
Oh, what's potassium?
That was a Borat reference.
Yeah, well,
we have the superior potassium.
The only thing I remember from Borat isn't that the one where you're like, no, that's the dictator. I gotta watch Borat again. It's been a while.
He's a good character actor. Good character.
All I remember is like the dictator when he flies from the zip line into. I don't even know what scene I'm talking about. There you go.
Market Dropistan. That's kind of what we're seeing.
Market Dropistan.
All right. I have no idea who John Anthony is. I just saw 2 for the money. I think. Give me a second here. I want to look that up. John Anthony.
Yeah, I don't know what King of the Castle is.
This isn't. Wait, no. There's no way I'm Matthew McConaughey's character. Maybe no, maybe you're blind like Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman. I don't see it. I got a lot of doppelgangers. That is not one of them. I'll take Timu Tate and Tall Mr. Worldwide. Those are the 2. But now let's talk about Josh's bestie here, Eric Adams, the New York mayor, laying out the crypto plans as the city residents vote in the Democratic primary here. So this is at permissionless conference. And Adams said under Andrew Cuomo, the state dismantled and destroyed the crypto industry, describing the governor's actions as wrong and misguided. Now, the mayor's running for re-election as an independent, and he said he planned to set up a city council to advocate for city crypto policies and state government and build out the pipeline to pay for city services using crypto and by introducing digital asset education in schools. And other people just want you to build out sewage pipelines, water pipelines. But now he's going to do the crypto pipeline, everybody. Now, the pro-crypto mayor is under scrutiny. Now, Adams, known for accepting saying he'd accept his first 3 paychecks in Bitcoin as the mayor of New York City, said he's still hodling, everybody. Now, he's going to be going against a Republican, Curtis Sliwa, and I guess congratulations to the socialist winner in the Democratic primary yesterday. What's his name again? I'm drawing a blank on it. He's a former rapper.
Retard.
I think he's only had a company that had 5 employees. So
yeah, he's just a straight up communist. AO wants to be C. That's who this is. No, I mean, it's great news for the mayor. I mean, Mayor Adams, I think his polling's up by like 24% here, 24 points. But I mean, we got to be voting for Mayor Adams now. I mean, you do not want a socialist running NYC. All the progression we've had in crypto, Mayor Adams has promised to go after bit license. He's promised to, help with tax laws. He's promised with opening up and fighting at what do you call it? Albany in the state of New York, but ultimately going to the governor and trying to revoke a lot of things Cuomo put in place. If you guys don't know this, it's actually a huge win. Cuomo at least isn't the competition there. Cuomo's the one responsible for bit license and all the anti-crypto laws in New York City. So
did you see was it Friedberg's take on this? So Friedberg, I think he's just like with one eye.
No, it's FR. Isn't it FRE?
Give me a second.
I think it's FRE from all
David.
all in. Yeah, it's just we need to win.
Friedberg.
Yeah.
All right, let me throw this.
The socialist mayor cannot win, dude. Like, and by the way, he is the same. Well, I'll refrain from saying. But.
All right. Well, here's his take. I think it's a good one. Maybe I won't read the whole thing here. It's vitally important Mamdani get elected. He can help maximally and swiftly tax the rich, stand up government-run grocery stores, eliminate the police force, freeze rents, and make public transportation free. It's unlikely taxing the rich will make a move to other cities. It's unlikely government-ran grocery stores will fail to increase fresh vegetable consumption. It's unlikely eliminating NYPD will cause a rise in crime and decline in quality. It's unlikely freezing rents will drive landlords to dump their properties and collapse the prices. And it's unlikely free public transportation will result in union-led kleptocracy. Obviously, this is all done with a hint of sarcasm. It's actually dripping off this post right here. And so his thing here is, if we have to relearn the lesson the hard way, let's go ahead and do it fast and elect this man.
Mamdani's an idiot. Yes.
I love this take. Yes, just go ahead and do it. Just go ahead and do it,
Friedberg there. Yeah, it's insane that there's people out there that vote for this. Like, it just makes me realize there's got to be something in the water. It just opens up new theories, dude. I don't understand. Like, what does it mean for all the small businesses and stores like all the grocery stores? I mean, there's millions of people in New York, and there's probably thousands of small shops that are these people's livelihoods. And like, he wants to literally step in, tax them more so they can open up government grocery stores. So that way it's a nonprofit. So they can lower the cost of goods.
I'm a free market guy until we get into like duopolies.
It's not a free market if you bring in the government. It is that's like anti-capitalism. It's going to hurt thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of small families and businesses.
One of my favorite charts, prices of things, and it has the things that government got involved in and things government didn't get involved in, is like TVs. The price is heading down and down and down. Like college education,
up and 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 up. Which, speaking of college education, if you actually pulled up that article and talked about education, I think I'll be helping at an event August 7th at New York University.
That's going to be you right there.
Yep, it's going to.
Oh no, the West Side.
Actually, I didn't.
Y'all know
it was on DZ's screen. It's all good. But either way, it's going to be hopefully doing a little bit
young
more.
Josh.
Hopefully, we're trying to help a lot with the Digital Asset Council and doing a lot of education for students in NYU. I know I can't confirm which layer ones they are, but there's a lot of companies that all want to focus on education development in these universities. So very excited for New York City.
It's going to be an interesting election. Let's just say that. A lot riding on that one because it is America's largest city. All right, Coinbase claiming a key role in helping the Secret Service with their biggest ever crypto seizure. Said it helped the Secret Service seize almost $250 million, $225 million in crypto allegedly stolen by scammers, the largest seizure in the agency's history. And so did the Secret Service just hodl this? Oh man, I wish. We're going to find out. So the Department of Justice filed to seize more than this 225 million in crypto recovered by the Secret Service that was allegedly stolen by pig butchering scammers. That's where they like trick you with a dating app, and then I don't know why they call it. What's the pig butcher come from? It's like you replace it at the last moment. It's like a pig butchers would do the same thing where they like replace what they're going to sell you there. But you think you're talking to some like nice lady and she's like, yeah, don't download this app, and then they steal all your crypto. So the Secret Service also traced some of the funds back to 140 accounts at OKX, many of which were held in the names of individuals being held at scam compounds in Southeast Asia. Now, Tether, which the DOJ acknowledged for its assistance in the investigation. Remember, Tether can freeze your funds. They froze 39 wallet addresses containing the 225 million in 2023, which were mostly in Tether. The stable issuer later burned all the tokens. That's pretty solid right there. Someone gave them a bunch of money and they said, all right, we're going to go buy some US treasuries, but watch out because I'm going to give you this money back. And then you have to sell those treasuries. Well, now they never have to give that money back. And so their balance sheet increased 225 million and their assets, or I guess I should say their assets did increase by their liabilities decreasing. I'm sorry, I'm being a dorky accountant here, but yeah, major news. Secret Service, 225 million. What I wish happened, I wish it could have gone into our digital asset vault or whatever, like our crypto reserves. That would have been a lot cooler. If the government got $250 million in Tether, what do you say they do with that? Do they hodl or should they just market buy Bitcoin?
I mean, I'd like them to market buy Bitcoin. I think anybody would like them to market buy Bitcoin.
Would you like them to market buy Ondo?
I love the market buy Ondo. I'd like to market buy anything.
XRP?
My bag.
Anything? XRP?
I wish I could print money like that. Just in the thin air and buy whatever I need to. That would be absolute. Maybe we should just become our own Federal Reserve. We'll start the Discover Bucks.
All right, let's do one of those like compounds in the middle of the ocean, like on a metal barge or something like that.
Yeah, so it's technically international. We have our own laws, and we just print relentless.
What do we do if Greta Thunberg like tries to board our vessel?
We send her back to Gaza. I don't know. I have no. What is she
I
even doing right now?
Capitulate to her. Or she's just the new ruler.
I'm surprised she's not in Iran right now fighting for the IRGC.
Maybe she's digging out the Fordo tunnels. We don't know. We don't know.
I mean, I just feel bad for her. She's a puppet. Like she was put into that as a kid.
We're all pretty dumb.
I think she's very groomed.
I was no genius at 18 years old. I'll just say that. Let's talk about Trump. There's rumors. He says he wants legal framework for crypto on his desk immediately. He said, get it to my desk ASAP, no delays. So that might be very bullish. But on the other end of the spectrum, Melania, the team, you've been exposed. You're about to get DZ'd, everybody. Melania meme team sold 82 million tokens, 8% of the total supply over the last 4 months across 44 wallets. What do? They cashed out 244,000 Solana. What is that worth? $35 million. Now they did this. They didn't say, go to Radium or Jupiter and market dump a bunch of the tokens. What they did is they added and removed liquidity, which in this case kind of acted as selling pressure right there. Can you explain, like on 5, how you could sell the tokens by adding and removing liquidity? You know that space pretty well.
Yeah, when you add a token to a liquidity pool and the value of the token.
What the heck is that?
So a liquidity pool is what allows you to pretty much buy. So a liquidity pool acts as essentially, think of it as a middleman. So if like you have $100 and you want to buy $100 worth of tokens, the liquidity pool will be how much money is available to actually make a transaction.
So it's not the shallow pool filled with urine at the water park.
No. So in every single market, there's buyers and sellers. You always have to have buyers and sellers. And so within those buyers and sellers, you need a set amount of money that can facilitate the type of transactions that are occurring.
It's like
within
the
that network.
tabletop that has cash on one side and the asset on the other, or Solana on one side and a meme coin on the other.
Yeah.
You
So
walk up to the table and you're like, I'm gonna throw down some cash and I'm gonna walk away with some meme coin.
yes. So it's really pretty much that simple. So when I have $100 and I come to a liquidity pool, let's say the $100 in that liquidity pool, and DZ's a buyer. When I buy that token, it's going to immediately have an impact on the price because of the amount of liquidity that exists within that set pool. So sometimes these liquidity pools can be funded by a a team like Melania here, which in this case is probably Hayden Davis. If you guys don't remember Libra token with Argentina, it's the same exact group. Sometimes it's going to be market makers. Sometimes it's going to be people from the community. Sometimes it's transaction fees. There's a lot of ways that you can drive more liquidity to that pool. But as more buyers come in and that price props up, the value of that SOL, the value of that ETH, the value of whatever that is in that liquidity pool will rise and they can extract from it. And that is all they're doing.
All
They're
right.
just value extracting from the liquidity pool that is being artificially pumped more or less by the inside team.
Chat coming in and said the markets are dumping, and I shared my screen and where I went to go look at it, and it was off the screen. Holy crap! So maybe trying to find a little bit of a bounce here. Yeah, Bitcoin just kind of went on a tear. That's going to be 1045 or so. Then it dropped almost $1,000 in about 30 minutes. So yeah, the markets definitely fallen to the downside. And as soon as I saw that in the chat, we closed that fart long or short, and then we opened a $50 50x long. Sorry, it's only 49. I was sliding it. We're already up 12% in like 12 seconds. So I'll be watching this one. And we cut and run once we're down like 20, 30%, cut and run. Because odds are it's just going to go ahead and liquidate shortly thereafter. So we're doing pretty good with this strategy. But again, don't copy it. Don't do it. It's a bad strategy. All right. Now there's some rumors about SPX 6900 being added to a corporate treasury. Over the past 3 weeks, company supposedly they're a shareholder in began building a sizable position in SPX via spot and OTC call options. But they're super weird about it, and I saw a bunch on this, and I did some more deep dives, and people were being a little coy and mysterious. Kidsy, is the company private? Why not tell people the name? Anyway, if this is true, we're going to go so much higher. Well, it's a private company in Europe, and I'm not allowed to share the name publicly, but this may change in due time. So I don't know. I'm taking this one with a grain of salt there, but bullish for SPX. Now, Polymarket setting to raise a ton of money. Polygon, the token, is crap in the bed. But Polymarket set for a $200 million raise at $1 billion valuation. Something to keep an eye out on there. We also have Chainlink and MasterCard partnering to allow 3 billion cardholders to buy crypto. Now, Josh, we've seen these type of stories before. PayPal opening up its rails for people to buy Bitcoin and ETH. Does that actually equate to people buying crypto? So sure, MasterCard's got 3 billion cardholders. Does this mean a bunch of them are going to buy crypto with this shift?
I don't think it's ever shifted anything.
Yeah,
I feel like we've seen these before. Cash App integrating, PayPal integrating, Venmo integrating. Never really onboards more users. Maybe, I'm sure it onboards users, but I don't personally know a single person that's buying Bitcoin through Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. Like they're just buying through Coinbase. I think by the time you're even at that level, but I would say maybe that audience is more or less outside the US, and I just don't know.
Yeah.
But it definitely makes payment rails easier. So I'm not going to argue that it definitely has to onboard some users, but is that what causes a mass retail run? No, I think we've seen that in the past. I think what might be able to do that would be like X integrating Bitcoin purchases or something like that. A massive social media platform where you can pretty much Apple Pay and just buy some Bitcoin on the spot. I think that would be a little bit more convenient. But I want to be like, okay, this is going to absolutely pump the market because of the new integration. It just makes it more, I think it's more accessible. That's what matters.
Yeah, I would agree. Anything else you're working on? Can you reveal what you're working on here?
So right now I've been just working on the afternoon shows and getting it set up. So today I'll be going live again here around 3 p.m. With an afternoon live stream, which I'll be having my producers help us out with the thumbnail there. But we just going live doing the call-in show again. But more or less, we're going to be doing we're doing the $1,000 to $10,000 challenge. So right now we're up about $60. We made one positive trade here. That was yesterday. And it went phenomenally well. So we're just holding that. And that was in the Discord. So make sure you guys are in the Discord. So you guys can follow along on every single trade. But yeah, we'll be doing that this afternoon, guys, and then we'll be working on some content here. We got some short form content coming out. We're gonna be changing the style around here a little bit more, doing hopefully 2 live streams, doing a lot more short form content. And yeah, just enjoying life here, guys. Thank you for being here today.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.